Happy Thursday. A little bit different of an angle today. I want to talk about this in a minute. I hope you're having a good week. Um, One of my all-time favorite movies, and probably one of the top 10 movies of all time, is one that many of you have seen, and most of you have seen, and many of you have probably seen more than once. It's The Shawshank Redemption. Um, the Stephen King short story that the movie came from is called Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, because the poster that he used to hide the hole in his cell was of Rita Hayworth. There's a deep dive right there. But there's a line from that movie that a lot of us are familiar with, and it's when Morgan Freeman's character Red said that hope was a dangerous thing. And that's what makes this time of year so powerful, and such a compelling voice in whatever it is that we're going through. Advent started with hope because hope is the promise of the potential for something better, that whatever you find yourselves in, that there is an out there that God has for you. Now, sometimes people fall on the spectrum as far as hope. That's either this sitting Cinderella among the ashes, waiting expectation, or there's this, oh, if there's hope, then I'm going to get at it. I love that side about the get at it because that's what moves hope to action. So much so that our founding fathers, when they owned slaves, published a Bible that many of you have heard about called the Slave Bible. And what they wanted to do was give the slaves just enough of God to pacify them, but not to stir them to action. So they cut out the Exodus story because why would you want slaves that you were owning to know that God stands on the side of those who are held captive, that he came to bring freedom? They cut out a lot of the passages in the New Testament that Jesus talked about breaking the chains and that there is no Jew or Greek, there's no male or female. And this is what the slave owners who published the Slave Bible said. This was their reason for publishing this Bible. We didn't want to instill a sense of dangerous hope for freedom or give them the dreams of equality. That is painful to hear, but it's also paints a picture of what the nature of hope is. That there is a dangerousness of hope. And the slave owners knew that the promises that God gave us spur people to action. If there is this hope for something out there, then I'm going to get on it. I'm going to be about it. And the slave owners knew that if the slaves had a sense of what they called dangerous hope, that they wouldn't just sit and wait for it, that they would be spurred to action. And we know that that's planted in us because we saw a lot of action in slaves creating ways to escape, to create, what was it, the Underground Railroad to free slaves. So this time of year, we are recognizing and celebrating this thing called hope. That was this past Sunday. That's not just a sitting around waiting for God to take care of things, but that we are to become active. That we are to be about bringing about hope. This is a Banksy. It's one of my favorites. It's not an original, obviously. And on it is, there is always hope. That no matter what it is that's going on in your life, there is always the hope that there's a place out there that is better than where you are. And that spurs us to action. So that's why the first Sunday of Advent begins with hope, is this realization that God has created a world and desires for us to live in a better place than what we see right now, and it calls us to action. This Sunday we move into joy, and it's the recognition that we have a God who is on our side, that he wants this thing called freedom. He wants to break the chains. He wants to instill equality, and we get to be a part of it. That's where joy comes from. Not trying to find happiness in the middle of where we are, but the recognition that we can make this a better place. That is the whole story of Advent. So we would love for you to join us this Sunday, our second Sunday of Advent, as we celebrate and kind of dig deep into what joy is, and then that second name in Isaiah of who God, of the coming promised light of mighty God. So we hope you join us for that. All the gifts tags for our children have been taken. All of you are absolutely amazing. And I use that word specifically. Thank you for it. We still could use your help in two areas. Our food pantry was the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and we were inundated with people who needed food. We're going to do it again the Sunday before Christmas, and we would love for you to help us feed this community. So when you give, if you could designate some of that, or over and above what you normally give to the food pantry, we would greatly appreciate it. It's a tremendous work that our church does. And also benevolence. We have so many requests for people to help with utilities, especially now that it's turning colder. And we would love for you to help us do that also. So when you give, if you could give over and above to food pantry and to benevolence, that will go help pay people's utilities. That will go a long way in helping us meet needs in this community, because that's what New Community Church has always been about. So, have dangerous hope. Be about what God has called us to be about. And we will see you Sunday. Take care.